I know you also did a breakdown and took a look at a lot of what Mike Bloomgren, the new offensive line coach, has done. Now, he was part of Bill Callahan's staff, actually Brian Schottenheimer's staff with Bill Callahan with the Jets. Um, what did you see? What are the Browns getting in Bloomgren?
Yeah, he's an interesting road he traveled. So he kind of cut his teeth in the NFL with Florida State, or sorry, at the college level with Florida State as a undergrad assistant, and then got a chance after he graduated from Florida State to go work at Alabama as a grad transfer. So he does that for 2 years, gets some lower level offensive coordinator jobs and offensive line coaching parallel jobs at the same time, and then gets a really big opportunity after doing that through 2007 to go up to the Jets. He gets an interview to go up there. He actually talked to us about some of this on a podcast. I did some real research over the course of the evening that they had brought him in, and he talked about how he interviewed the Jets. That was 12-hour interview, really long. He got this shot in the dark opportunity, a recommendation that got sent up there to New York, and they got him in. And like those were real. I mean, that when he got there, it was Mangini. Obviously, Callahan was on staff, Brian Dable, the guys who we all know. And so he gets offered that job, 45K at the time, 2007, but no insurance. So he turned it down. And because he had a family, he just started a family, he's like, can't do without insurance. They called him back 2 hours later and said, okay, we'll do insurance. But it's funny because who knows where his coaching career goes if he doesn't take that Jets job. So he goes there. He's a quality control guy on offense, then becomes an assistant, basically an assistant to the coordinator on offense, and does a really nice job with him. When again, everything you gather work hand in hand with Bill Callahan to develop offensive line play with there. He's kind of soaking all that in, getting better at that. Then he gets an opportunity as Jim Harbaugh leaves Stanford to go out and work with David Shaw, and Shaw brings him in as the OC. So he is like taking a bunch of his teachings, his philosophies. He's going to run the O line out there, very physical brand, and he establishes that from 11 through 17. Those were really good Stanford teams, like really good running the football, diverse gap, counter, power. All of the different variations of zone runs, and like a couple Heisman Trophy finalists there, and Christian McCaffrey and Bryce Love, and everything that they've established there, he carried on in a really meaningful way. And I think they become one of the more run grading teams through his time. And pass protection was redesigned because he got there with the Andrew Luck situation was happening, and those were, like I said, those were really good teams, and he was a massive contributor to them because Derek Mason took the Vanderbilt job in 13, and Shaw hired him to be the OC right away. Internal hire, quick, loved him. He was his right hand man. I mean, those two were running Stanford together, and especially offensively. And then he gets an opportunity. I mean, during that time, plenty of teams in the NFL with a raise would have been more money, because Stanford had good football teams, but they weren't really the more lucrative sports side of things. Like they weren't their fiscal side of their sports stuff is not one of the more well-paying opportunities out there. But NFL teams were calling, offering more money, O-line jobs. He didn't want to take it because he wanted to be a head coach, and then goes to Rice. He gets an opportunity at Rice, which is another strong, prestigious academic school, if you know that, kind of in the Northwestern Duke and obviously Stanford type of mold. It's very hard to win at Rice, and but he took that opportunity because offensive line coaches don't really get head coaching opportunities that often. So he takes it, and there's some good moments there. There's a couple straight seasons of bowl games, which hadn't happened to that program in a while, but relatively inconsistent play, and it ultimately leads to him getting let go this past year. But I really do believe like he is a very smart, sound offensive line coach. If you talk to people, like if you talk to people or listen to what people said when Stanford kind of fell apart, because Stanford had a good 18, but then 19, the COVID season was okay, but then like 18, or excuse me, 19, 21, 22, they really into 23 regressed and fell apart, and lost the identity of who they are. And a lot of people attribute that to the departure of Bloomgren. So I think he's one of the more respected offensive line coaches out there in a technical, a teaching standpoint. And I think he's a diverse run game guy. He can do whatever your team is interested in, and he's done it in a variety of ways. I think he's gotten more experience with RPOs and different variations of motion based on his Rice film that I watched a little bit of last year. They're doing a lot of that stuff. So great teacher at the position, good pass protection guy. He'll bring a lot of similar theories to pass protection technique, run game technique that Callahan already had, because That's where he cut his teeth coaching offensive line and really getting into the nitty-gritty details of it. And it's just a reversion back to that type of guy. I think like Andy Dickerson, by all accounts, a really good guy. I think he was a Shane Waldron guy. Like those two, him and Shane Waldron, who was in LA for a long time. Both of them were in LA for a long time. They played together small school college football together at Tufts University. And if you look at it, Waldron has kind of carried him everywhere he's went, because Waldron then went to Seattle and goes to Seattle and gives him a chance to become like the run game coordinator, then the offensive line. And I think like Dickerson getting away from Waldron and Waldron's way of thinking about football left him with a lack of creativity, like to like apply. I don't think he was able to apply things he knew to what the Browns are trying to do. And I think that he lost a voice in that room. And then if you hear Joel Bitonio talk about it, like it was a bit more of Dickerson. It was a bit more like groupthink and the collective coming up with plans together, where they just felt they needed like direct coaching, direct teaching, stern leadership. They're all veterans in that room, man, for the most part. It's like they need a voice they respect. They need a voice that can give them direct instruction, direct plans, and I think that that's a reversion back to some form of what Callahan had success with here. I think it makes a lot of sense.